Steven, what are you more happy about? Me being back or the combine starting?
The combine starting?
See, I knew you weren't going to say something nice about me, so you would say something that you don't believe in.
You give me what do you mean I don't believe in what?
You're not a combine guy. You never have been.
Look, man,
You just didn't want to give me the satisfaction that you missed me. It's okay.
I think the combine is very useful, especially when we get into talking about the hand size and arm length, hips, a lot of hip talk.
Hips don't lie.
Depending if it's Mike Mayock or not, talking about bubble butts and feet. Feet's a big one. Your dad's a big foot. Your dad's like the Quentin Tarantino of the NFL Combine.
All right, we
Loves
don't. Yeah. I don't need that image in my mind. Just admit it, Steven. Yes, you missed me. It's okay. Everybody else has missed me. Rock a new era. Otis Bird is the word.
I missed you, but you didn't land the dismount there on your you didn't land the dismount on the Steven. You went Vin. It was like a downward inflection. Trying to go up.
I mean? Go upward.
Yeah.
And want me to do it again?
Yeah, do it one more time.
Steven.
Boy, that'll get me pumped up to go to sleep.
Good Lord. It's the way I always do it.
We're off to a great start.
It truly is the off season because you are just thrilled.
Yeah, I am thrilled. I'm happy to be back. We got a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about. What's going on, everybody? Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We are back from a little hiatus. I went to go see my mom and little brother in Del Boca Vista. Had fun time there. But this is the off season. This is Steven's favorite time of the year, where no actual football is being played, and we talk about rumors and trades and free agency, the fuckery as we called it. We'll get all into the fuckery again. But then we got basketball, we got spring training. Yeah. Giants fans really into that Ohtani at bat today.
Yeah.
Just the one, the strikeout. Then the Oppo home run. I was like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if people saw the KMBR video. It was funny today. But yeah, there's a lot to discuss. I don't want to talk anything about the NBA All-Star game. I think it's the old, tired, same shit. Every regurgitated take.
There you go.
I'm getting my feet back under me, Steven. It's been a while. NBA All-Star game sucks. We don't need to go down that road. I thought everything was fun. The 3-point contest was fun. The Caitlin Clark, Steph Curry thing was fun. Everything else sucked.
Caitlin Clark, huh?
My bad, not Caitlin Clark. Off to a great start. What is her name?
Sabrina Ionescu.
Sabrina. She did her own thing, but Steph is Steph.
Yeah. Actually, going back to the video though that you mentioned, with actually both. First off, Otis Bird said that was hilarious. Then second, Derek, you're going to paint over the blue wall? Yeah, it's a very good question. Why is there a blue wall in your building?
I don't know. Ask Adam Copeland. He said when I'm taking over as program director, I want a blue wall in front of me. Those were his words specifically.
That was the first prerequisite, huh? Before
I mean, I don't give a shit about programming. I just want to know there's a blue wall staring at my face.
Give me a blue accent wall in our random little, what was that? Like a lounge area?
No, it was the previous program director's office, and then Adam Copeland got that office.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
So that was his office.
Yeah,
got to repaint that, Copes.
Yeah, whatever. Who gives a shit? It's blue.
I don't like a blue wall.
See, Ernie's got KMBR colors are blue.
Are they?
Yeah, it's blue and yellow.
Oh yeah,
Warriors, but also Dodgers.
Yeah,
it's very convenient, wouldn't you say? How have you been, sir? So I was in Del Boca Vista, seeing my mom and my little brother, but I don't know what you were up to this last.
Well,
I guess 2
you
weeks?
did the classic Papa vacation. It's a known Papa tradition to take the week off in the All-Star break.
Hey, Papa and Bonte.
yeah. Bonte's
following our footsteps now. He knows the appropriate times to take off for vacation. And you know what? No, you know what? I take exception to that because Greg, he doesn't just take that week off. He will call on Thursday or sorry, on Wednesday, be like, hey, can I take off Thursday and Friday and all next week off? At least I don't do that shit. That's when you're Greg Papa, you could just, flex and be like, yeah, I'm taking a couple days off and I'm taking next week off too. What are you gonna do about it, huh?
Well, just spend the next 3 decades covering pretty much every team in the Bay Area, and you'll get some say on when you get
I
time
cover it
off.
all, Steven. I got decades on here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe a decade. We're close. We're coming up on a decade, maybe.
Um, no, I'll tell you, this week, like I've worked pretty much every All-Star break since I've been in radio. I can't really remember an All-Star break that I took it off because, like, with 95.7, I never really had the luxury of being able to do that. And this time around, I forgot. So I realized during the All-Star break, like, damn, this could be my chance to take a week off here, but I didn't. And I got to say, this was like the slowest All-Star break in terms of anything
News.
sports related that I remember in a while. Like
Yeah.
normally,
What were like your big reports?
there was
Nothing.
nothing major. I mean, doing the spring training stuff, Bob Melvin speaking every day. Pablo Sandoval took it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The pants, see-through pants, Nike and
Yeah.
Fanatics. And
What's up with that?
yeah, the jerseys that they rolled out for 2024 suck.
So, baseball players gonna have see-through pants?
I don't know if that's the case. I actually haven't watched much spring training live. I've only seen videos, and most of the videos I've seen, I actually haven't looked at the pants. I need to look more at the pants. I need to look
Well, I'm
closely
sure
next time.
Jesse's a big fan of the see-through pants. Ew.
Yeah, yeah. Jesse loves them. Yep.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, yeah. She's going nuts over them.
Yeah, well, hey, see the nuts. Baseball. I mean, baseball's not thinking about the female fan. They want to see the see-through pants. What's up
Exactly.
with
They're trying to bring in the demographic. Understandable, except I think it's a little embarrassing for the players.
Well,
But
yeah.
that was something, and you know what? It didn't really get a lot of traction, and I didn't do a report on it because, to be honest, it's very inside football, and I don't really know how much the KCBS listeners would have been interested. Plus, there's a lot of ins and outs to explain. But the free agent stuff, the offseason and all that, sure, I'm not that interested, but if it's local and it's involving some big name players, like, say, Brandon Ayuk, I think that's when it gets interesting. And to me, like, that was the big story when nothing was going on during All-Star break, was the fact that, Ayuk's contract, he could actually want out based on what's happened in the past with wide receivers. When we're talking about guys like Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, and you're going to have more wide receivers resetting the market with their eligible for new contracts, like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and those guys. So it's a very interesting time in the wide receiver market. So I thought the Brandon Ayuk thing was maybe the most interesting, even though nothing really happened with it.
Yeah, is there any like legitimacy to any of those reports? I think it's just Dan Graziano saying like, "Hey, I'm looking at I'll do my Dan Graziano impression. Hey, I'm looking at the cap here, and I see that the Niners they got little problems here. So what are they gonna do, huh?"
He didn't actually sound like that, does he?
No, I know. I just Dan Graziano. I'm Italian. I could do that. All right, everybody, calm down.
Okay. All right. Good. I thought he actually sounded like that. Then I maybe would be more inclined to tune into like Get Up or whatever show that he tends to.
They all
contribute
sound
on.
like that. Like it's my goal. It's my Greenberg just being like, hey, we're talking about the Cowboys. The Mike Tannenbaum's like, hey, Russell Wilson, he should back up Aaron Rodgers, was his actual thing he said.
Yeah.
See, even though I was gone, I hated this. Like, even though I was on vacation, I would, put my phone away and just like, be with, my mom and my little brother. But I would still at night, like, it's East Coast time, so everybody goes to bed a lot earlier than I did. So I'd be up, watch the Patriots new documentary, which is pretty interesting, and then I would check my phone and look at all the news, and I was like, I'm getting everything. So I am well versed. I'm up on all of it. And the thing that the Brandon Ayuk stuff, we'll get into, but is there anything with that? Like, I think just people assume that they're going to have to trade Brandon Ayuk, and with the cap increasing greatly, I don't know if they have to, but we'll see. I mean, it's different. Like, I know T. Higgins got franchise tagged, and eventually the Bengals are going to have to pay Jamar Chase, but it's not the same thing when they're paying Joe Burrow the fattest contract when it comes to quarterbacks right now. So I don't know if the Niners do have to worry about that, but I could be wrong. There's plenty of time to figure that out.
I think there is, but I think the idea is like, do they want to sign him to a deal, ink him now, and potentially not have the ability to sign other players? I know the cap totally changes everything, but they don't have much money to spend. I think it's going to be an interesting story come training camp. Maybe not now, but come training camp time, I think, and the draft could show you a lot. Like if they
Yeah.
maybe draft a wide receiver, I don't know if it's like a speedy guy, but if they draft a wide receiver early, I think that should be a pretty interesting sign of what's to come. I don't know that, but that's something to me. But yeah, it was nothing happening in the All-Star break except for crappy Major League Baseball jerseys. The A's just continue to embarrass themselves hand over fist every single day. It feels like there's something new that pops up. And yeah, that's about it. But on the weekend, got the shirt. I saw the musical, MJ the Musical.
Oh, how was that?
It was great. Did I tell you about how we ended up getting the tickets though?
No.
So Christmas Day rolling around, and my mom just straight up asked, "Hey, what do you and Jesse want for Christmas?" And I was like, I don't really know. And then she's like thinking up ideas, and then she calls me and she goes, "Hey, do you guys want to go see like a Broadway show? Do you want to see like something in San Francisco if I got tickets for that?" Yeah, sure. And naturally, we thought that it meant she would get tickets for us. And then when she gave us the ticket, she surprised us with the show. It was MJ. Awesome. And then she said, "Okay, so I got us all three tickets and we're going to go." So it's like my mom just included herself in the Christmas present so that she could come along with us when I thought it was going to be like a Christmas
Well, why
present for
not? Why
the
can't
parents.
she do that, Steven? I think it's a nice gesture to get all three of you guys. I mean, two of you guys tickets, and then she's going to be part of the fun too.
Well, when in your mind, when you're thinking that it's just going to be you two and she's getting a Christmas present for you two, and then she just buys one for herself, I understand it. I wasn't against it. I didn't say, "Hey, you need to return that ticket or you need to sell that ticket." I'm just like, I like how you invited yourself to this
Well,
outing.
Steven, it was the Michael Jackson musical. You're saying?
Yes,
Okay. Well, is your mom a huge Michael Jackson fan?
she is.
Okay. Well, then I would tell you it's only human nature.
Oh,
Why? Why?
that was the
Tell
highlight.
it that it's human nature. Why?
That was highlight.
Why would you do me that way? What?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I
Yep.
was too loud singing. What?
Yeah, I don't know if it was that one or when he was just looking at the man in the mirror and asking him to change his ways.
I'm looking at the. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's so what
great.
was there like was the I'm assuming it was obviously it's a musical, but was there times where he was like acting?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it kind of it caught me off guard at first because the actual voice that he did, not his singing voice, because he came out singing and dancing like exactly like Michael Jackson. He was like a spitting image, but it was his talking voice, which kind of took us, or at least took me aback
Was
at
it high
first.
pitched?
No, it was just it sounded exactly like South Park. It
Oh
sounded
God.
exactly like it. It's just like,
Oh, blanket, no why?
yeah. Oh, stop it. That's ignorant.
Yeah, ignorant. That's ignorant.
Yeah. The premise of the play is like it's centered around him in preparation for the Dangerous tour. So he's like
Ah,
setting up everything. And this is like I think the early to mid 90s.
so it
And
didn't cover it all. You're saying?
no, it didn't. It mentioned Neverland,
My
and I was like, oof.
yeah, my follow up question was going to be did you enjoy the musical enough where it touched you?
Yeah. Yeah, he the idea of it is like, "Oh, if I want this toy to be the best ever that it ever was, and I want to give the people what they want, I might have to sell my mortgage on Neverland. Oh no." You know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like that, I would just be the asshole, and the crowd is laughing the whole time. Be like, "Come
Eh,
on!"
the dialogue was
Yeah.
better than that, but it was good, man. I personally love Michael Jackson and his music, so I was all about it.
Hey,
Loved
no,
it.
I'm all in favor of enjoying the music. Let's just acknowledged, you know, MJ.
Yeah, we're
Perfectly.
separating the art from the artist,
That's
Derek.
fair. That's 100% fair. 100%
Nothing
fair.
as the I think one of the songs that they actually made up for the play was I forgot how it
Don't
went,
ask
but
questions.
yeah, it's something like about don't believe everything that media tells you.
Wow.
Something along those lines.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, Michael.
Yeah. hmm
But did Jenny have a good time?
Yeah, man. Of
All
course.
right then. So that she's happy. But did
Oh
Jesse have a
yeah,
good
and
time?
yeah. Well, the morning of, we thought it was going to be the night show,
Oh.
and my mom called me on Friday night, and she wanted to go over logistics, but we were in like the middle of like a movie, I think, and I just told her, yeah, I'll call you in the morning, and then she texted me. She didn't text me back. Then the next morning, when I went to call her, she actually sent me a text, and she says that it's the play's today. And I was like, I know. That's why I'm calling you, so we could discuss how we're going to get there. So what time's the play at? 7:30? And then she's like, no, 1 o'clock. It's a matinee.
Mm.
Oh, so it was 9:30 in the morning. We had plenty of time.
Yeah,
And
I
it was
know. You get
probably
yeah.
better that it was a matinee. You don't really want to be walking down Market Street at like 10:30 at night trying to get to Bart. That's no fun.
Been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty
Last
much our lives for
place you want to be is Civic Center Bart after 10 p.m. Not a fun place.
I can think of other places you don't want to be at 10 o'clock at night, but yeah, like it's not the best place.
Civic Center Bart is right up there.
Okay. All right. Fair
Yeah.
enough. I will say this. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. Um, and I'm wearing the Cell shirt because I am mad at myself that I missed out on the fan run A's Fan Fest. Um, and shout out to my man Rick Tittle. Not to gloat or anything, but he hit me up and said, "Would you like to speak at the event?" And I said, "God, I would love to, but I'm hanging with my mom and my little brother in Florida." So the timing didn't work out. I would have loved to be there, and me and Steven were talking about it. He would have showed up and thrown tomatoes at me, which would have been great.
Yep.
But
Would have helped.
I had to pull out like Drake's Brewery. So I wasn't there, but from what I saw, I loved everything that went down. Tittle, running shop and running point, I should say, everything. Casey Pratt was there too. So our friend Elena went there. Sonny Martinez from back in the day was there. All of the, Hal the hot dog guy, all of the pro Oakland crowd, I guess former A's fans, but still A's fans at heart. Carl Buszczyk went there as well. Just seems like a very fun event. And yeah, I know about the Drake's Brewery thing. I love Drake's. I love going there. They have a great beer garden here in Oakland. It sucks they pulled out the last second. I wouldn't be surprised the A's had something to do about it. Kind of shitty. I will say also what's shitty is the A's deactivating all comment sections in their social media, whether it's their Twitter themselves or even A's Cast. I find it to be incredibly lame that they're not letting the fans speak their minds of what's going on right now. Can't just blindly let's just focus on the baseball team this season. Nah, come on, that's bullshit. And the rooted in Oakland sign being pulled down from the Coliseum. It's all just fucking crazy times. I don't know if I want to go this season. I'll definitely be at the Oakland Bees game, but I don't know. Everything's rubbing me the wrong way. Rob Manfred was asked about the fan fest today, and he said, everyone's acting like I wanted to leave Oakland. I didn't. Shut the fuck up. So I'm glad that everyone had a good time. All the true Oakland A's fans had a good time for a fan run event.
Dude, I'm telling you, I still don't believe that it's like actually going to come to fruition. The only thing that Rob Manfred can do is continue to reassure the A's, or not even the A's, reassure the owners of other teams, the people that he works for, that this stadium is going to be built by 2025. When in reality, I don't think he has any inkling as to what's happening as far as the inner workings. Like he was confused. I remember early, I think it was even last year, he was confused on the site of the stadium. He didn't know where they were building. And he's like, I meant this, I knew it was here, but I meant here. when in reality the A's were building on the Tropicana site, and he thought they were still building on the old site. But it turns out Vegas doesn't want the A's moving there. Obviously, the teachers union, they showed out. Now they're going to file an injunction with the court because they haven't come to any sort of determination on their lawsuit, any sort of verdict. So they're going to file an injunction and block any sort of funding going into this new stadium. Tropicana already agreed to close its doors on April 2nd, but they are still waiting for the artist rendering. Like, everything about it is just, it's just wrong. And I don't know how, but God, it feels like between now and 2025, that is going to be an extremely long year. And I don't think this is the last we've heard of it. I don't think it's simply, no, yeah, they'll get the stadium built by 2025. Everything's good. No, that's not the case. And the Fan Fest, like, of course there was representation like that. Like, there's no doubting that the fans love their organization and love their team. Unfortunately, I think for Rob Manfred, he's looking at empty stadiums and not thinking about the reasons as to why there was an empty stadium. He looks at empty stadiums and thinks for whatever reason, Oakland's not a viable place for a Major League Baseball team, which he's absolutely wrong. The fans were doing it as a form of rebellion because they didn't want to go see a team that would end up getting traded the next year.
Yep.
So like, everything about it, man, everything about it is just off. And yeah, even if the concessions, I don't know. I hope Oakland and Mayor Sheng Tao really stand firm on what they're trying to do here, and I think they will. I honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's just me being gullible and listening to someone who's involved kind of in politics, but it really sounds convincing the way that she wants like conditions on if they stay in the Coliseum from 2025 to 2027.
Yeah.
And if that includes an expansion team, like, to be honest, man, I'm all for it. I know that the A's moving sucks, but good God, if you can get some form of a baseball team in Oakland, they need it, because the Oakland Bees is a fun story. Okay, it's fun,
I
but
know.
this is an independent baseball league. All right,
I know.
It's not exactly the highest level of talent that you're going to be watching.
I know. It's convenient for me because I live right here and I can walk over to Laney College. But yeah, like, I know.
Well, do you see where they're going to build it now, though?
No, where?
They're going to build it even closer to you.
Where?
Yeah, they're building it just God, I forgot what the name of the
Build it
park's
or
called.
play?
No, they're going to construct a stadium. Yeah, a new
For the
facility.
Bees?
Yeah, they
You
announced
sure?
it. I am
Oh,
100% sure. Yeah,
okay. Where
yeah.
do you know where?
It's near downtown. It's kind of close to where you're at. But yeah, it's like this kind of hidden gem of a place. They're playing their spring 24 home games at Raimondi Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that could be interesting. But yeah,
No,
West
I mean
Oakland.
I'll be there. Not for every game, but I will.
That would have
I
been
will
so good if
attend.
you arrived to Laney College and there was no
Where the
baseball
hell
game
is
being played.
everybody? God, it's just me and that coach from Last Chance U just chilling here.
That's like one time when I had the full season media credential to Giants games, and I thought there was an Angels game going on. And as I'm walking down Embarcadero, I'm like, this is eerily quiet. There's nobody around. And then I found out that it's a road game in LA.
Yeah, I remember when you did that.
Brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you still have a good time with Spadoni though?
What happened there? What?
Yeah,
What?
we'll talk about it off air.
What happened? I can't remember.
It's not worth mentioning on the pod. I should say that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
All right, let's go over some stuff that we missed while I was away. So you see, now I'm just going to focus on this the whole time.
What the hell did I do?
If I remember the story correctly, I will tell you off air.
Oh, okay.
All right. But yeah, they're I'm glad everything went well with the Fan Fest. But there's some stories that we did miss while we were away. That's a football related. And yes, Steven, we will talk less football now because it's not the playing season, but there's a lot of shit going on. So what we missed out on. And this one's the hardest story to talk about. I think this happened the day after we did our last episode. Um, what happened at the Chiefs parade was awful. The shooting that happened. I don't know how many people were critically injured, but one person did lose their life. And I know a lot of people have been talking about what's going on in this country with gun safety and everything. The truth of the matter is, it sucks right now, and um, there's not just a whole lot to say. I don't know if things will change. I hope they do, but that really rubbed me the wrong way, and everybody, because you never want to see a fun event like that in sports get overshadowed by something just that awful. And I guess it was just because of a fucking ridiculous argument between people that were carrying guns to the parade.
Yep.
Terrible. Absolutely
Yep.
terrible. So it'll make you think going forward. And I don't care. I hate the argument of, oh, it's just a couple of isolated incidents. Shit like that happens way too often now. So I'm tired of it, and I just want it to change. And I thought that whole event was sick. Just awful.
Yeah, so I was doing my reports, and then I left the studio at 12, and I literally just got done watching like Travis Kelce do a drunk rendition of I think it was "Take Me Home, Country Road" or something like that, and he
Yeah.
was just totally singing off beat. I was like, "Good God, like this guy is he's getting up there. Like that hangover is going to just get worse and worse every single year." What is he? 34 years old now? Oh,
35, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So I saw that, and then as soon as I get on the train, then I see stuff starts happening, and I see like,
Yeah.
oh, there's people shooting next to the train station or whatever it was. I'm what more is there? What more is there to say? I just couldn't help but think of going back to like the Warriors parade back in 2022, and that was my first parade experience, and just remembering that it felt like everyone there could just like forget about, you know, their lives, just forget about everything happening in the world because there's a lot of crappy things going on right now. And, these celebrations are just a day that we can kind of reflect on something that's, bigger than us, something that we follow, something that we're loyal to. And everyone's there just celebrating and having a good time. And I just can't imagine what it would be like to hear gunshots at an event like that
Yeah.
and to just scatter. Like those are the types of images, man, that just kind of give you chills. It's just like you hear the noise and then you just start seeing people running. Those are the worst. And we've seen those images way too often.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think it's awful what happened, and I think about the parades that you and I covered. That we went to. You went to the Warriors parade in 2022. I went to the one. I went to two of them, actually three of them. I went to a little bit of the 22 one, but I went to the one right here outside my window in 2017 or 2016. No, they lost in 2016. 2017, 2018, where it was just right here at Lake Merritt, and those are some of my favorite memories. Even though I got horribly sunburned, I couldn't imagine something like that happening, where it was just a celebration. Everybody's drunk, everybody's having fun, celebrating this team, and then out of nowhere, someone loses a life, and it could have been any of us. The woman that lost her life was a radio DJ, and it just makes you think a little bit. So awful. I never want to see something like that ever happen again. But I'm not naive either. So
Yep.
hopefully shit changes for the future. Um, in less, more trivial news, something else happened that day that I didn't think was going to happen. I wasn't surprised when it happened too. Steve Wilkes got fired as defensive coordinator of the 49ers. And I don't think that he got fired for anything that happened to do with the Super Bowl. I think that Kyle Shanahan and him just were at odds for most of the season. And honestly, I have never seen a coach kind of, I guess, kind of use their defensive coordinator as a scapegoat a little bit. Um, I understand that Steve Wilkes was different than what Kyle was used to with Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans, but there were many times this season where I thought he just put the blame on him. And let's not get twisted. Everybody knows that Kyle runs the offense and the defensive coordinator runs the defense. But when you're the head coach, I think you got to take a little more accountability than what Kyle did this season. So I'm not surprised that Steve Wilkes was fired. And it's rare that a Super Bowl team fires their DC like that. But it didn't fit. He complained about his blitzing too much. And honestly, like that's what Steve Wilkes does. So I don't think it's the wrong move. I think when you don't like someone on your staff, then you should get rid of them. But at the same time, I don't think anybody has to blame and I don't think anyone's to blame more than Kyle, honestly, for that.
Yeah, I don't know how cycling through defensive coordinators is gonna. That's I think Shanahan's arrogance coming into play. No, I could just do this with any defensive coordinator. I mean, we made the wrong hire here. We're not going to give it another shot. I think back to that game against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Everyone was focused on the Super Bowl so much, and rightfully so. It's the most recent game, but I just go back to that game against the Vikings where towards the end of the first half, gave up the zero or they ran the zero blitz, and Kirk Cousins just chucked it up. And I think they scored towards the end of that first half, and that gave them the momentum. And Kyle Shanahan was calling out Steve Wilks, and then Steve Wilks had to answer for it. And then it made for like a week-long thing where it was as if Shanahan was talking down to a player. And I've never seen that with a coach and a coordinator, just to be that blatant, at least with one they like. Um, who knows what the working relationship was like too. But did you happen to read that article? Um, did you happen to read that article? I think it was from The Athletic,
Matt
talking
Barrows?
about no, it was the one talking about what Kyle Shanahan has taken from his dad as far as being a head coach.
No. That sounds interesting, though.
One was putting surveillance cameras in the meeting rooms, in each position group's room, because you're the head coach, you're the overseer of all, and during the meetings, they want to be in on whatever they're discussing, what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there were times when I think like Trent Williams compared it to Big Brother. He said it's kind of like
Yeah.
Big Brother watching you. And I have a feeling that with the type of guy Steve Wilks is, with the amount of experience that he's had in not just the NFL, but just in football, go back and look at his resume. This dude's been doing it for a long time. I have a feeling that some, you know, mid 40s hotshot head coach going in and telling him what to do. I don't know if that did happen, but if it did, I have a feeling like a guy like Wilks wouldn't exactly jive with that. So
Yeah.
I just don't think that those two saw eye to eye. That's just my guess. I don't know if that's 100%, but you could tell they were there wasn't the connection that he had with like D'Amico or the connection he had with Sala, where he pretty much says, I don't have to worry about them. Like he had to worry about the defensive coordinator this year.
Yeah, and at the time last year, it did seem like a slam dunk hire because Steve Wilks was coming off, a pretty good record as the interim head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He ended up getting that job, and then he was kind of the top defensive coordinator candidate and landed with the Niners. And he thought it was going to be just a seamless transition, but it's not the type of guy that Kyle has had in the past that basically, does what he wants them to do. So it's also the first time I think Kyle's had someone on his staff that was kind of outside of his group, that, he established himself before he got to the Niners. Kyle kind of helped like all those guys, D'Amico, Robert Sala, Mike McDaniel, everybody that's gone off to have, bigger head coaching positions. But yeah, this was the first time where Steve Wilks was like, I've been a head coach before. I know what I'm doing. And I think that he kind of took it as disrespect from Kyle.
Yeah.
Um, so now here we are where the Niners are still looking for a defensive coordinator. And the latest from Matt Mayoko is that they've interviewed Brandon Staley. Oh boy. They interviewed Nick Sorensen, and they interviewed Daniel Bullocks. And he's going to be interviewed later this week, and they're hoping to get everything wrapped up by the end of this week. And then Matt Barrows, I think a couple of hours ago, just came out with an article. John Lynch was asked about the defensive coordinator position today and said that they're looking for someone that basically has the same philosophy as really a D'Amico Ryans or a Robert Saleh, something that they've had in the past. And then Matt Barrows, nothing from what John Lynch said specifically, but he's reading between the lines, and he says, don't be surprised if it's Brandon Staley. And that was a rumor that was thrown out for a while. That happened actually before I left for vacation. I think Florio had the report where he said, I'm hearing in circles that Brandon Staley is the favorite to be the 49ers defensive coordinator. I think a lot of people at first, reaction to that would be like, oh God, he was an idiot as a head coach. But I would also say, like, he got that job being a good defensive coordinator with the Rams. And he ran a 3-4 defense, but I think that he did a little more wide nine with the Chargers this year. So I think it might translate. I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Staley's the named defensive coordinator. I think that at this point in the game of hiring coaches, it's harder to replace from within. Like, let's say Nick Sorensen gets the job. Okay, then who takes over as the nickel or assistant defensive backs coach? They got to find more head coaches to fill that spot. I think it's easier to keep those guys where they are and make Brandon Staley the head honcho when it comes to being the defensive coordinator. Also, you don't have to worry about this guy leaving in a year or so. I think he's got a lot of damage control as as being the Chargers head coach. I don't think a lot of teams want to take that risk again. So I think if you're hiring Brandon Staley, you're going to probably hire him for maybe the next 2 years as your defensive coordinator, unless things go terribly wrong.
I don't think they have another internal candidate that had kind of the experience, I guess, that D'Amico Ryans had. Like, looking back, it's kind of crazy that he kind of started with the 49ers staff as like a defensive assistant in 2017, has worked his way up all the way to DC in 2021, and worked as like the linebackers coach beforehand. They don't really have that. I know that who was the second guy that you mentioned? The
Nick Sorensen.
Yeah, Nick Sorensen. I know he was like the defensive passing game specialist, and he was a defensive assistant the year before that.
You might remember him as a safety in the league. He played with the Chiefs and the Saints for a little while.
Oh, I do remember that guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
He was kind of like a linebacker safety hybrid, right?
Yeah, he would have been a great Raider in the early 2000s, along with Gerard Cooper and Stuart Schweigert and your guy Matt Giordano.
Oh yeah, yeah. Shout out to the white secondary players. Yeah. Okay, now. Okay, all right. That's an interesting one, but still not that much experience in the system. It's a pretty big risk that you're taking if you're hiring that sort of guy. I don't know about Brandon Staley. I just don't. Do you need a guy who the players can buy into with his system? I don't know what it's going to entail. Like, sure, he had one good year with the Rams, but that was pretty much it. Like, he hasn't had much defensive coordinator experience, and even though it may seem like an easier job than being a head coach, it's a totally different animal. I mean, Steve Wilkes went from being a guy who we thought the Panthers should have given him the head coaching job to this guy's struggling to be a defensive coordinator. Like, that's what it went through. And so I just think that the Brandon Staley thing doesn't inspire much confidence. I guess my number one question would be, what does Joey Bosa think of him? And what's the message going to be like to Nick Bosa? Like, what does Nick Bosa think of Brandon Staley? You know what I mean? What does your number one defensive player, the guy you're paying the big money to, he's not the captain, no, but what does he think about it? Like, is your star defensive end already kind of out on this new hire? Like, is that where we're going to go? Or does he like him? Maybe Joey had good things to say about Brandon Staley, and maybe it's the offensive guys you got to talk to if you want to get kind of a negative review on him. But I don't necessarily think it'd be the worst hire. I don't think it'd be as bad as anyone made it out to be. I just wanted people to stop with the Bill Belichick stuff. Like,
that's not happening.
Stop it. He's not going to come back as a defensive coordinator. What are you talking about? Like, I'd hope that anyone who actually brought that up was bringing a sense of irony into it, because that was not going to happen.
Yeah. Listening to Chris Long just did a podcast with Stephen Belichick, the new defensive coordinator of the Washington Huskies. And it's hilarious because Stephen Belichick, you've seen him on the sidelines, he looks like his dad. But he sounds like his dad too. I don't know if you heard the interview with Stephen at all, but he's a 42-year-old man, and he sounds like Bill Belichick, where he's like, yeah, my dad comes over from the house time to time, and he's a good house guest, but he's like, you gonna clean the dishes or whatnot? And I'm just like, oh, Jesus, Dad. So it just it's just hilarious to hear from that perspective. But he said that his dad is trying to get into TV this year. So I don't think that Belichick's not taking that job. Like, if he wasn't willing to take the Falcons job with everything that had to go into that, then he's not going to be a defensive coordinator. Like, you think Steve Wilkes wanted to answer to Kyle? You think Belichick wants to answer to Kyle too? Like, come on. That ain't happening. Vrabel ain't happening. I think it's going to be Staley. And I think that fans need to get over it. I think that they need to not just, harp on his time as the head coach of the Chargers. Just focus on what he could do as a defensive coordinator. I don't know how that's going to be, but I think it's the best option out there right now. He interviewed with the Rams again. He interviewed with Mike McDaniel, and they didn't go with him. But he's part of that group. He's part of the geniuses, the play callers, the Shanahan, the McVay, the Mike McDaniel group. So maybe he'll fit in. But
is he part of that group?
just because, well, not necessarily, but McVay hired him, and I think he's in that group because he's young and he's innovative and thinks outside the box, but maybe outside the box way too much with how many times he went for it on fourth down. But I think the offensive guys, like the guys I just said, like his style. He interviewed, I think, with the Packers too. So all of those guys are interested with him as a defensive coordinator.
Hmm.
And I do think that Kyle will end up going with him, if I had to guess.
Ooh. Yeah, that's not a way to inspire confidence, but you know.
I get that, but at the same time, like you're not making him head coach.
Right. Right.
Like
And I also don't think we know as much about defensive coordinators as we like to think we know.
no one really. Okay, let me ask you:
I
if
thought
Josh
Steve Wilkes was a
McDaniels,
fantastic hire, and then it
yeah,
turns out that they regressed under Wilkes. Like he was fine, he was good, but like the Niners defense was elite, and they were not elite this year.
no, they were not. But let me ask you this: if Josh McDaniels got another offensive coordinator job, would you automatically just say like, oh, he's going to suck because of what happened with the Raiders, or do you think that he could be a good OC just based on his time in New England and what he did in the past there?
No, I'd say he's going to suck because he doesn't have the greatest of all time at quarterback.
Okay, well, my fair point, but
That's
my
what
point
I'd
is
say.
basically that's fair. But my point is basically that just because someone didn't pan out as a head coach doesn't mean that they can just go back into what comfortable role they had as a coordinator. So I think we all like I think 49er fans need to brace themselves for Staley being the DC and not holding his time as the Chargers coach against him as just he's going to just be on the defensive side of the football. And yes, the Chargers defense wasn't great at times, but then there was times where they actually were pretty good. But yeah, we'll see what happens, as I say.
I think they're missing out, man. I think they're missing out on the Chris Kasarik experience. I'm not saying that he's going to be
He
the
doesn't
best
want to do it though, man.
I know. I'm not saying he'd be the best man for the job. I'm not saying that he'd be the right guy for it, but I am saying that 49er fans who haven't seen him before would be thoroughly entertained with him on the sidelines. And I think the diehards know about him. But
yeah,
if the cameras are on him like they were every single time with Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans, instant fan favorite. Instant.
You just want also a good quote from a coordinator like you had with Mike McDaniel back in the day.
Yeah, I like people to be interesting. Sue me. God, Steve Wilkes was dead serious. Like that guy was no nonsense. I love how he like walked up and he's just like they told him you're going to give an opening statement. He's like, you're damn right. I'm going to give an opening statement. And he'd like talk for like 3 minutes just to open the presser every single week. And he'd be like, and I'll open it to any questions, and yeah, not much of a smiler. He didn't smile too often. Not jokey.
And I also would say he's a little defensive. Like one of my favorite things is when Reggie McKenzie would do press conferences, he always do the look, guys. Like that's what Steve Wilkes would also do too. Just like when they asked him about what was going on with the defense, he'd be like, look, guys, basically saying like, shut the fuck up. You guys don't know what you're talking about with defense. I'm a coach in this league. Just let me do my fucking thing, okay? I got my head coach calling me out all the time. Just please.
Yeah. I don't need any questions from you, Tim.
Exactly. And lastly, something we missed while we were gone. Did you listen to this Antonio Pierce interview on Max Crosby's podcast?
No, I didn't listen to the full thing.
Okay, I listened to it. Kind of a hard listen, to be honest, because for whatever reason, Max Crosby's podcast, what's it called? The Rush? He edits the podcast. So anytime someone curses, there's a jarring, like, if you ever listen to, clean hip hop, there's a jarring, like, stop of words.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so Antonio Pierce was just letting it fly, and it would just stop, and you're like, what the? It was honestly a hard listen. But besides all that, Antonio Pierce was very open and talking about, wanting getting back to the Raider way, and very confident, saying that, we were the last team to beat Mahomes, the last team to beat the Chiefs, and we established the Mahone rules, much like the Michael Jordan rules, where you got to beat him into the ground. And I like that he's confident. I mean, when you listen to him, I can understand why players want to play for him. But also at the same time, listening to him, I'm like, this is bulletin board material. This is shit that the Chiefs will listen to and be like, Mahomes, like, oh, these, you can do the impression better than me. I'm not going to try. But
Yeah.
Mahomes would listen to the interview. Was like, this guy fucking serious? I've dominated this team for years. The reason we lost on Christmas Day is because our offense was off. It's a couple of plays. Threw a pick six to Jack Jones, and I fumbled for a touchdown. They didn't do anything offensively. If we were, clicking on all cylinders like we usually are, we would have killed that team. So for the Raiders and my Antonio Pierce to be all boastful and be like, we know how to beat the Chiefs now. You better back that shit up. Like I honestly listen to it, and while if you're a player, you're like, that's my coach. If you're a fan, I would be like, no, what are you doing? You they just won the Super Bowl.
I
Like,
love it.
I know,
I
Steven,
love
but
it.
there's a part of me that's like, this is where it's going to be interesting with Antonio Pierce, where he's going to say the wrong thing sometimes, and maybe coaches are not going to like it. In a division where he's got Sean Payton, who was guilty of that a year ago, or Andy Reid, who's on the cusp of signing the contract that's going to make him the highest paid coach in the league. And then you got Harbaugh, who's going to be, big in LA. I just wonder if Antonio Pierce is going to back up everything that he's going to say. I know that Rex Ryan went to 2 AFC championship games, but I'll remember him talking a lot of shit about Belichick and not backing it up. So I think if you're going to be a head coach in this league, you could talk that talk. He's a former player and he wasn't shy about talking back then. But you better back it up too. Like this, I was uneasy listening to it.
I love it. I love it. Take it to him. Bring the rivalry back. Bring it back. Who cares? Bulletin board material. That's fine. Chiefs crush the Raiders every year anyway. I don't care about like the Christmas Day. Like, I don't care. I don't care. I like having a head coach that's entertaining. Chiefs are going to win anyway. Who cares if they're giving them bulletin board material? Like, as a fan, be realistic. They're not going to beat the Chiefs. They're not going to beat them. So I like the fact that the coach is this cocky and maybe feels like maybe makes the players feel like they actually have a chance. Because really, when they have anyone else at the helm, I don't think they feel they have a chance. But with Antonio Pierce, they seem to. So if that gets the players riled up, then I'm all for it, man. Because I don't like, for example, the Super Bowl. I don't think the Niners felt very confident against the Chiefs. I just don't. I don't feel like they were very confident. Okay. I feel like they understood that they were going up against Patrick Mahomes, and I just don't think they were that confident.
Well, I would say that with the Bills and Ravens, I would say they were not confident just because of their play. Especially the way that Josh Allen looked in that game. I think there's an issue. There's a mental block when the Bills play the Chiefs, but we've been down that road already. You already have this defeatist attitude already, Steven. You think that the Raiders are already going to lose twice a year to the Chiefs?
Yeah, once or twice. Never going to sweep them.
Okay, but
they haven't figured them out.
Okay, but you don't want that to change? Like I know you want it to change, but like you don't think that's going to change at all? Like you don't think that maybe
not this year?
Well, you haven't even seen the team. We haven't got to free agency yet. Who's the quarterback? We don't even know.
Doesn't matter. Chiefs are the Chiefs.
Damn. All right.
It's 2 games. They could afford to lose 2 games.
Jesus Christ.
What? What do you want me to say? That I'm scared of the Chiefs after what Antonio Pierce said? No, I like this coach. I like that he's brash. I like that he's upfront about it. And I like that he's trying to I like that he's just trying to bring this false sense of confidence to the organization. I like it. I think it's entertaining.
I mean, it's entertaining, no doubt, but I think also just, I don't know, it's just poking the bear where you're just like, if I was the Chiefs, I'd be like, you guys haven't done shit. You beat me on Christmas Day? Big fucking deal.
Yeah. It's so like, I'm not telling you that he's in the right. I'm not saying that they do have the formula to beat the Chiefs. I'm just saying, if you're going to talk, all right, do your talking. And then, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to back it up. And I'll probably be a little more pissed off during the regular season if they ended up losing like 50-0. But, for right now, I love it. All the talking that he's doing.
I don't know, man. This could backfire. Like, who was the middle linebacker? Was it Denzel Perryman that took everybody to the middle of the field at Arrowhead and was like, all right, this is our shit. This is our fucking field. And they lost like 45-9.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had John Gruden like right around the Arrowhead Stadium in the bus. You remember that?
No, I do remember that.
Yeah. I don't know what they were doing in that bus, but they were yelling, I think.
Now, that's because we had a fucking, a bus driver, man, that was talking shit, and we wanted him to know it.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's just an interview in late February, but I don't think Mahomes is going to forget about that.
Nope. Raiders are going to be very frustrated after this season because Seems like a lot of them are ready to win now. They're just not a team that's built to win now.
Well, they're acting like it.
Yeah.
So some news came out the last couple days. No surprise here. I don't think there's any surprise whatsoever. No running backs are getting tagged, which okay, we kind of guessed that with how things went last, off season. Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley were looking for long-term deals, and they didn't get them. The only one that got a deal was, interesting enough, Jonathan Taylor after everything that went on with him and his trade demands. But they're not going to trade Josh Jacobs. They're saying the right things, like, "Oh, we want him to come back." I don't know. I think they'd be fine with just Samir White being the running back. I think that Josh Jacobs may get better deals, going to say the Texans or Chargers. We'll see what happens with Josh Jacobs' future. It's going to be like I don't know if all those running backs are going to sign right away, because they're not probably not going to like the money that's being offered. But it was clear today. Tom Telesco spoke, and a lot of people talk this time of year. Like last year, Josh McDaniels talked about how he's looking forward to Darren Waller being a part of the offense. And then he, I guess, divulged too much information about his wedding. And then Darren Waller was traded a couple weeks later. So anything could happen. I mean, remember Pete Carroll a couple years saying the plan is to keep, we have no intention of trading away Russell Wilson. And then they traded away Russell Wilson. Today, Tom Telesco, when asked about Devontae Adams, said he's not going anywhere. He's a Raider. And I firmly believe that as of the moment. I don't think it benefits the Raiders whatsoever to trade away Devontae Adams. If they are in win now mode, then they need him. But if they're looking to rebuild, which I don't think they're trying to do that. I think they're actually trying to win. Like, it's going to be hard to rebuild, and then Antonio Pierce comes out and say, "We're trying to kick the Chiefs' ass." Like, we're not going to buy that. I do think they want to keep Devontae Adams. I think that what the Jets are offering is probably not what the Raiders want, and it's not worth their time, honestly. So I think in the here and now, Devontae Adams will be a Raider. If we get to the trade deadline this upcoming season and the Raiders are not playing well, then we could revisit that. But I do believe Tom Telesco and the mentality of the Raiders organization is they want to keep Devontae Adams.
Yeah, unless it gives them something like, I don't know, the number 1 overall pick or something in the draft, and maybe
that ain't happening. Come on.
Exactly. Well, that's not happening. So I agree. I mean, it's very factual, though. These guys are very calculated with their words. Telesco is right. He is a Raider because he is under contract with the Raiders. John Lynch, yeah, we'd love to bring back Brandon Ayuk. Of course you would, because it's Brandon Ayuk and he's a really good receiver. But are you going to be at odds with him? Like, do you want? Are you going to be able to sign a guy who's wants to be the number 1 option on a team, and maybe someone else can give him maybe a little bit more money and promise him that he's going to be the number 1 option instead of maybe the 3rd or 4th option? They're very calculated in their words, man. So sure, he is a Raider, but talk to me in October and ask me if he's a Raider, because if he's traded, then he's not a Raider. Like, these guys are.
I guess that is true, Steven. If he is,
Yes.
if he is traded, he's not a Raider.
He's not a Raider. So, like, they say these things, and it sounds like they're not going to do anything, but they're just spitting out facts that really don't mean anything one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the combine is interesting because a lot of people are questioning if the combine's needed anymore, and it is. But it's the biggest need for it is what we're talking about. It's a NFL offseason convention. It is for the coaches and the GMs to mingle, do the measurement stuff, interview the college prospects, but to really go get drunk at St. Elmo's later in the night and be like, all right, what deals we doing here?
That's the place. The steak, is that a steakhouse?
It's a steakhouse, but also it's famous for their shrimp cocktail that is extremely hot. I think I sent it to you a couple years ago. Andrew Siciliano and Joe Thomas were dunking the hot sauce at St. Elmo's with the shrimp, and they were just losing it on air. And I've always wanted to try it. Actually, I know I said we're going to try to get more guests on the show. I am trying to get Matt Mayoko to come on because he came on with us yesterday and talked about how he loves St. Elmo's and he loves spicy food. And he's a huge fan of Hot Ones. So then after the interview, I was talking to him. I was like, Matt, I love Hot Ones too. He's like, oh yeah, I watch every episode. I'm trying to eat that sauce. Like I got the last dab in my house. I got to Bomb Beyond Insanity. I was like, oh shit, you know everything. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm a hot sauce connoisseur. I was like, it's awesome. So I'm gonna try to get Matt to come on with us.
And what? We're just gonna all powwow and have hot sauce together?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I'm good with that.
By the way, I didn't forget. It's been 2 weeks. Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. You were waiting for me to say something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I
God
mean,
damn.
like the combine. Like I know a lot of people are like, should Kyle be there? I don't think it really matters. I know a lot of coaches are bowing out now. I mean, the quarterbacks don't even throw anymore. And I don't like. I mean, I know I love most football things. I'm not a huge combine guy. I like it for the tidbits. I like it for the scoops that are coming out, the news. But as far as like the 3-cone drill and all that shit, I don't really care about 40 times. I'm gonna watch a few of the quarterbacks throw, like Michael Penix and all those guys. But Caleb Williams is not going to throw, and Jaden Daniels is not going to throw. Drake May is not going to throw. So combine's, like I said, a little more just for the news.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll watch like 3 40-yard dashes, then I'll realize, oh, this kind of sucks. Then I'll turn it off.
Well, it's always good for one viral moment, like when DK Metcalf ran his 40 and all that. But like for the most part, it's not like it used to be, like Mike Mayock and Eisen breaking it down and having fun, and Eisen running the 40 time. Like you don't even like the Eisen 40 time. You don't even see it anymore until like weeks later.
No.
So yeah, I'm not a huge combine guy. I'll be honest.
Mm-mm.
All right, you doing this thing?
No, hang on. All right. Got kind of a lot in there, but
Yeah,
whatever.
you'll live.
Yep.
And this is from the Super Bowl bet.
Yep. For whatever reason, I took the Niners. So long, partner.
Gonna bang the table and touch his face. Want sympathy?
You know what? This one
doesn't hurt until you swallow.
It tastes a lot better than the other one because it's sweeter, it's tangier. But God, it really gets you.
Yeah.
Oh,
It'll do that to you. When you got water in the mug?
No, I got tea. Is tea good?
Oh, no. Probably makes it worse. It's a little bitter.
Yeah, my voice has been out. Or it's starting to go.
I think I should challenge Mayoko to a hot sauce battle.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I know you don't want to do it.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll have
right,
Mayoko on. We'll do it.
All right, sounds
no
good.
Water. No milk. No nothing.
There you go. Your true G.
Another chip. Let me get another chip.
There you go. That'll help you. I will say that I think the only people that were honest today, because I got all the tidbits, I got all the scoops, all the news that was coming through the combine. I think the only 2 guys that were honest today were Ryan Poles and Sean Payton. Not that they said anything. Like Sean Payton actually said something on the lines of we're gonna figure out what we're doing with Russell Wilson in 2 weeks here. He also said that a lot of quarterbacks have changed on the Broncos, and the next guy we get, I don't want to, an X running through his name. Basically saying, I think things are coming to an end with Russell Wilson. And if Russell Wilson didn't want to change his contract in the middle of the season, so why would he change it now? I think he's going to get released. And it sounds like Ryan Poles and the Bears are prepared to trade Justin Fields. And Caleb Williams will be their starting quarterback with them having the first overall pick. I don't think that's crazy. I think it's going to happen. I think that Ryan Poles said today, like, they were entertaining, every question about Caleb Williams, and then he was like, well, Justin Fields, he didn't, divert anything. He was just like, if we decide to, take a quarterback number 1, then we will be, do the best for Justin Fields, and we will hopefully move swiftly to accommodate a trade for him. And I think that's going to happen. It sounds like I was reading up on or Dove Climate stuff, because I pay attention to all the stupid accounts this time of year, whether it's Dove Climate or NFL notifications or NFL rumors or whatever the fuck, ML football, all that dumb shit. But the Matt Mayoko of NBC Sports Chicago is saying that the Falcons are the number one trade destination for Justin Fields. They're the ones that are in the mix the most. But, you know, you hear other things too. Like I saw that the Raiders were in the mix as well. Steelers. I don't know if the Steelers really want to do that because I think the Steelers have always operated with we're going to go with the guys on our team. We're not going to, you know, they seem more inclined to go with Kenny Pickett and then Ryan Tannehill's the backup. But they may do it. Who knows? Which begs the question, what are the Raiders going to do at quarterback? So Luke Getsy is the OC, and every report that came out of Luke Getsy getting hired was the Raiders felt like he wasn't the issue. Well, then they must have been Justin Fields then. But then why would you inquire about Justin Fields? Why would you want those two reunited if that you think is the catalyst for why the offense wasn't good? So we'll see what happens. I do think that if Justin Fields gets traded, I think it's going to be by next week, before free agency starts. But I'll ask you, Steven, what is the best option for the Raiders at quarterback? Is it making a trade for Justin Fields? Is it trying to move up in the draft? Is that even feasible? Or is it, I don't even like this idea, signing a Russell Wilson that gets cut? There's not a lot of quarterback options that are fantastic this offseason. I gave you enough time, goddammit. Come on.
Hot sauce gets worse, dude. No on Russell Wilson. All right, I think that should be a hard no. I just don't think he'd fit in with the locker room and what they're trying to do.
You wouldn't like him having his own office?
No, no, I wouldn't want any of that. So I don't think Russell will I just don't think he'd be a fit. I just don't. I think he's more of like a character in the NFL as opposed to like an actual quarterback. It's bizarre. So whatever they're trying to build, I don't think they could start to build whatever they're trying to build with him. Like they're not trying to rebuild their team. God, but they are trying to build that passing offense. The run game's good, but they are trying to build that passing offense, and you're not going to do that with Russell Wilson. So I think the best course of action would be to draft a quarterback or trade up and draft a quarterback, which by any mock drafts and any predictions that I've seen, don't look like that's going to happen. It looks like everyone has them taking like a lineman or a cornerback, which they need that too, because they do need a lot, but feels like quarterback is like the number one. You got to take this guy in this spot. Like, don't overthink it. Because the Luke Getsy thing, yeah, everything I've read about like Justin Fields and Luke Getsy is like they didn't like each other. And it feels like Luke Getsy was more of a Devontae Adams type of hire rather than like one to try and nab Justin Fields. So I think the best course of action would be for them to try and trade up and get a quarterback, because what are you left with? Maybe they can hope for like Michael Penix to fall in the draft. I think that's like one of the odd men out there. I know you're going to have like your Williams and Mays, and you're going to have your Daniels and all of them, but I don't know. Maybe Penix drops to the 13th pick, and maybe you kind of get lucky. You know, maybe you end up being like the I don't know, the Chargers with Justin Herbert or something. Maybe that's what they need to hope for.
No,
they are the last team in the draft that needs a quarterback. Like after them, after the 13th pick, no other team needs a quarterback. So they know that they're going to have whatever is the remaining quarterback in the first round, whoever.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be tough in the draft. Like, I think they do want to move up, but I think the three teams at the top spot want their quarterbacks. I think that the Bears are in the mix. Obviously, I think that the Commanders want a quarterback, and I think the Patriots want a quarterback. Maybe, unless they want to run things back with Mac Jones, which I do not believe whatsoever. But I don't know. I think it's gonna be very difficult for the Raiders to move up, and I don't think it's worth taking a flyer on a J.J. McCarthy or a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix in the second round. I don't know, man. I think that maybe Justin Fields is the best option, because I don't know what really else they could do. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to run it back with Aiden O'Connell. I think they need to upgrade, but I don't know if they have a lot of options. They were in the worst spot that they were last year. I mean, they really could have moved up with the Arizona Cardinals being at 3 and gone to go get a quarterback. But Josh McDaniels did not want to make that move for CJ Stroud or whoever else was going to be there. They could have got an Anthony Richardson. So I think they're in a really bad spot quarterback wise. I don't know how they're going to upgrade it. I think Justin Fields could be an answer, but it doesn't sound like they're interested. It doesn't sound well. It actually does sound like they're interested, but I don't think that he wants to go with Luke Getsy. So I don't know. I actually don't know what they're going to do quarterback wise. I think that I mean I know for damn sure that Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to be there because they're going to cut him, especially after him failing a PET test, and he's going to be suspended 2 games. Yikes, Jimmy. So I
Yeah,
think
what the
Jimmy's
hell was that?
I don't know. I think Jimmy's a backup this season. So I don't know, man. I really do not want Aiden O'Connell as a starting guy. I think that it was apparent that they needed to upgrade. But who knows? I mean, a lot of shit could happen. Like there's a lot of quarterback stuff that we're not even aware about. That like something could pop up. Where you're like, this guy's getting dealt now. What? Like it could be interesting. I think there may be an option out there that we're not even aware about that could be out there for the Raiders.
Can we go back to Jimmy Garoppolo for a second?
Absolutely.
What kind of performance enhancing substances would he have needed? Because what I gathered from the info that I read was that these were pills that were that he was prescribed to, but didn't get permission from the NFL, and it violates whatever policy that they have in place. So what exactly type of performance did it enhance? Did it enhance his performance in the bedroom, in the bunny ranch, in Vegas? Was it some sort of rich person Viagra that we haven't heard about? You know what I mean? Was that
You mean
wrong?
Viagra?
That was like, well, I don't know. There's stuff that rich people just have the money to buy that normal people don't. Viagra is what the average everyday man would use, but
yeah,
I don't know. Rich people have all sorts of medications that we don't know about.
Oh, probably the rich man one is Blue Chew. My man Guru's got that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just, I was like, what kind of, because everyone was right with the joke. Like, what type of performance is it going to enhance? His performance on the bench when he's sitting down? I'm like, no, there's other types of performances you can have. Maybe it was Blue Chew.
Possibly. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, whatever
That's what
it was,
I thought of it. That's what I think about Justin Fields to the Raiders.
I mean, whatever Jimmy Garoppolo did take, it really didn't help him on the field. I mean, he led the league in interceptions for a good deal of time he was playing.
Yeah. So I don't know what it was. The mystery drug. I really want to know.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll find out soon. Well, it was something that wasn't cleared with the he was prescribed it, but it wasn't cleared with the NFL. So
correct.
It may just be some ticky-tacky bullshit that he really wasn't taking anything. It was just something that he's always done. And
they suspended him on a formality, probably.
Yeah.
I'm more just saying it as a lighthearted joke, but might not have been, though. Might be reality.
Yep. Sorry, I had producer stuff going on in the background here. I apologize. Sidetracked.
That's a shame. What happened?
Just figuring out a Steve Kerr interview tomorrow. He's on
brutal.
East Coast time. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Ugh, tough.
Speaking of which, I wanted to try this out because I think we were talking about this before. Speaking of Justin Fields, I want to do something now when we're in the off season because I know you hate rumor shit, and so do I. But I get sucked into it regardless. Let's play a little game of Is This Not Nothing?
Okay. Do I have to have music?
No music. Just double negative. But there's a lot of stuff that goes around, and you're like, oh, that could be something. But is it really? So is this not nothing? And this was kind of the dumbest questions or dumbest stories that was going around while you and I were gone. Because I always hate this stuff. But it's what it is now with what we do in society or, sports media when it comes to a disgruntled player. Justin Fields unfollowing the Bears on Instagram. Is this not nothing, Steven?
Well, he said that it's because he needed to cleanse his palette, I guess, cleanse his social media palette. So he deleted everything. I don't think this is not nothing. I think he knows something. I think that that's a clear sign there that he's going to be moving elsewhere. I don't think this is not nothing. Look, Instagram, social media, I don't care how much of a joke it is. Players do use it to their power. And I think it's not nothing. I think there's something to it. You really want to cleanse your social media. The Bears don't post anything during the offseason. None of these football teams do. It's the offseason. Like you know what's easier than deleting the Bears off your Instagram is not going on social media at all. That's an easier path. If you want to stop looking at football stuff on social media, then just don't look on social media instead of doing the whole unfollowing thing. Then you're going to have to follow them again. I'm not saying that, you know what? Maybe it's not 100% that he's leaving based on this, but I do think that he just does not want to think about the Bears unless they do end up signing him again. So it's not nothing to me.
No, I mean, despite my irritation with all of this guy unfollowed, this team. Which, by the way, who was the nerd that was just like snooping on this and be like, I'm gonna check if Justin Fields is following the Bears. Doodly doop, little check. Oh, look at that. He's not. Well, this is a scoop.
A lot of people. It's very easy.
I know, but it's stupid. Like, don't people have better things to do with their lives?
No.
Okay, you're okay. Sorry for all the shit that you judge me on and what I do. You think this is normal behavior?
I think for any Bears fan who's interested in Justin Fields sticking around with the team, yes.
Come
yes.
on.
No, with someone who's paying attention to whether Dalvin Cook or DeAndre Hopkins are going to land somewhere and legitimately getting pissed about it when
that's actual news.
When you have no connection to the players nor the teams they were connected to, I think that's borderline insane. But if you're a Bears fan and you're wondering what's happening with Justin Fields and you're looking at the Instagram, I understand that.
So you think it's healthy behavior for someone to be like, let me see if this person's following this. I'm going to check every day. And the one day that I find that they're not, it's a news story.
I don't know if that person would check every day. I think there's a lot of people who do it, man.
Of course they do.
A lot of people. And there's probably one who checked on one day and, maybe missed out the next couple and then found that someone actually saw he unfollowed the Bears. Tough scene.
Yeah. Okay. I'll say this. While I care too much about Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins last season, those were the only NFL stories we had for like a few months. And I just am a sucker for any NFL news. So I cared about that way too much. But I mean, I don't know. I don't care about people unfollowing or following, but that's just part of the norm now when you cover, a player with stuff like that happening. But yes, he did do the interview with the St. Brown brothers and basically, related it to, if you're thinking about a girl, I mean, you still think about them, but you're going to, deactivate your social media from, or unfollow them so you're not thinking about them. So Justin Fields' story is that he just wanted to get away from football, so he unfollowed the Bears and he unfollowed Ohio State. But the reality is, I mean, he just, I'm sure he's kind of irritated and wants to know what the hell's going on here. I think by now he's probably been told by Ryan Poles or whoever with the Bears organization that we most likely are going in the direction of Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. So I think that this is something, unfortunately, but I don't know. It'll become something more when actually he's not on the Bears anymore. How about this one, though? Let me throw you this one.
Yes.
Because this one's a little more odd to me. Did you see what the Arizona Cardinals tweeted out with Kyler Murray?
No.
It was a random, if you just go through their social media, Stephen, you can pull it up. It's just a random tweet saying, our QB, Kyler Murray. Now, was there any question that Kyler Murray was going to be traded or not be on the team? Because I think that was pretty set in stone. We all thought that maybe the Cardinals were going to be the worst team in football and they get a chance to draft Caleb Williams, and then you would have to make a decision on Kyler Murray, but they're not in that situation. I think maybe because they're in the top 4 of the draft and they're thinking that maybe a quarterback situation would be there. But I think it's just odd out of nowhere for the Cardinals to just tweet out, this is our quarterback. Well, no shit, he's your quarterback. He's currently on the roster. It's like, Tom Telesco earlier saying uh, Devontae Adams is a Raider. Yeah, of course he is because he's on the roster. Why would this out of nowhere the Cardinals just tweet out Kyler Murray's our quarterback, just to make sure the organization knows or the team knows, like, or sorry, our fans know, like this is the deal, like we're running it back with Kyler. Okay, could easily be said at a press conference at at the combine, but just to tweet that out of nowhere, is this not nothing?
I think it's nothing.
All right,
It's
fair
nothing.
enough.
It's nothing. I think the social media team is separate to the actual team. And I see a lot of people quote tweeting it with the Josh Rosen is our guy graphic, which one guy, the guy who posted it, I guess, has left the Cardinals. He's no longer with that team anymore. And he said, he's like, I've spent the past decade plus trying to make it in social media. And this is my only tweet that's lived on. It's like, yep. I don't think it's anything. I think it's nothing because I think they're just trying to find something to tweet about. That's why they're doing it. And there's nothing interesting. So why not just tweet a little graphic, our franchise quarterback? It is bizarre. I agree. But I just think that was a social media team who thought they were doing something cool. I don't think there's anything to it.
All right, fair enough.
What about you? Do you think it's nothing or not nothing?
I think it's them just making a statement saying like we're running it with Kyler again, but I think it was just kind of odd to do that out of nowhere. I don't think you do that unless there's some insecurity from your quarterback or maybe within the team that's saying like, is Kyler going to be the guy? Because there's a lot of rumors that were going around the last couple of years that went from the, him tearing the ACL and the study addendum and all that shit. But I think they're sticking with Kyler. They paid him, so they might as well. But
so it's not nothing.
Is
it nothing or not nothing? It's not nothing.
It's not nothing to send a message to the fans and to the team, just saying like this is the guy,
huh?
Unless it's telling the league this is our quarterback, unless we get the right price.
All right, so you think it's not nothing?
I do think it's not nothing. I think it's something.
Okay.
And I hate the fact that I'm getting into social media to the point where these things actually matter.
Yeah.
Like the Justin Fields thing and Kyler Murray.
Believe in one team randomly posting a graphic and don't believe that Justin Fields unfollowing the Bears is not nothing.
No, it's something. I mean, you don't just do those things without any intentions.
I mean, you fall for not nothing, you could fall for anything.
I guess so, Steven. All right. Obviously, I care more about the NFL offseason stuff than you do. And obviously, I, am obsessed with football. But you, sir, enjoy way more things than I do. You can find solace in a nice, Michael Jackson musical, where I would be like, I'm okay. So what are I gave you this assignment. I gave you a homework assignment. Give me top 5 things that I should get into.
All right,
this
cool.
NFL offseason, so I'm not bringing up DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook and all that shit. What are 5 things I could get into that could take my mind off of football?
All right. I'm going to do these in order. Let me make sure I get the notes here and minimize the screen. I wish I could actually get this up because I got this in the crappy notes app on Mac. Should have thought this out more. But top 5, how to get Derek's mind off football. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, number 5, scuba diving. Derek, I think you need to get in touch with your aquatic side.
Oh.
And I think the best way to do that, become one with the fish. Become a scuba diver. I think if you got into that hobby, you got scuba certified, get in your little wetsuit, go down to Monterey and go swim with the fishes. I think that's your number 5, what you can do to get your mind off football. Because when you're underwater, I've never done it, but when you're underwater, I've heard that everything else goes away and you're just thinking about you and the ocean.
Okay. I've never gone scuba diving before. I would love to do it, actually. I don't know if I want to do it here. Like, I'd rather do it like where I was just at, like in Florida. Yeah, like where could I do that in the Bay Area? Monterey?
Oh, Monterey, Santa Cruz. Yeah, I know somebody. I don't know a guy. I know a girl. I know a girl, Jesse's friend. She's really into that sort of stuff. So,
Interesting. Okay.
yep,
All
we'll
right.
get you
You
all
know what?
scuba certified, and you'll end up like Hank
Scuba
Azaria.
Steve.
You'll end up like Hank Azaria in
Oh,
Along Came Polly.
I would love to be that guy for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Um,
You up for scuba?
okay. Yeah, I'm down. I would
All right.
I mean, yeah, like I'll go scuba diving when I see my mom again. How about that?
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
That's number 5. Number 4, learn to lay down cement. I saw this video and it was like this 16-year-old who was laying cement on a sidewalk, and he did it with such precision, with such focus. I figured if there's one thing that you could do to get your mind off of thinking about where Justin Fields is going to go for a week, lay down the cement.
This is
Huh?
like, yeah, like is number one on your list like watching paint dry? Like what am I doing here, Steven?
You're learning a trade. And you know what? If this
There's
whole
better
radio
trades than
thing,
that.
if the radio thing doesn't work out for you, then you could lay down cement for a living.
You think that's my calling if any of this shit doesn't pan out?
It could be. You've never tried it.
That is true. I have never laid cement before.
Exactly. So I think
Okay.
that's something you could do.
I was thinking maybe, like when I said you this stuff, I was thinking more like TV shows I could get into or like music or whatever. But no, you want me laying down cement. Okay.
Yeah, that's number 4.
All right, number
It's a-
4. I can't
a
wait
good
to
one.
hear 3, 2, 1.
All right, the 3, 2, 1 is some more of the real stuff. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
3.
I didn't say no. I'm open minded to scuba diving and laying down cement.
Yeah, laying cement. Then number 3, golf.
Yeah, I thought about that.
I think you need to take up golf. I don't think you have the patience for it. I think you'd have to buy a couple of backup sets of clubs because you are going to break your driver. You are going to get so pissed at the first guy who talks to you about etiquette because you hate etiquette. You're going to say, well, this is bullshit. What are you talking about? I can yell whenever I want. So I more want you to play golf just so I could see you get through the frustrations, which set in with everybody. It's just like when you're first playing golf. I mean, it's like every shot that you hit sucks, but you just need one. You know what I mean? It's like Little Giants with Rick Moranis racing Ted Bundy down Cherry Hill or whatever that road was called in the movie. All you need is one time. You get one hit, one clean hit with the driver, you're obsessed. Then you want to keep going back. So I think golf is a good one.
No, I mean, I thought about it for years. I actually wanted to do it like 10 years ago when I was in Austin. My buddies and I were talking about, just going out and golfing and never got around to doing it. I'm with you. Like I do not have the patience for it. I think that I would be bored, but I've always wanted to try it. Like I just do want to just go to the driving range one day and just try it out.
I think you should. You
Okay.
should. Just don't talk in people's backswing.
Nope, I don't. Am I allowed to sit on a bench and observe a lesson and then use whatever lesson, like whatever things are discussed in that lesson?
So you not actually take the lesson. You just watch the lesson and then you just absorb whatever they were teaching in the lesson. And then
You haven't been keeping up with Curb Your Enthusiasm, huh?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it hasn't been great. Although the last episode was actually better. But yeah, Larry goes to his normal country club, sits on a park bench, observes a golf lesson, and then he starts like writing down the notes. The guy's like, what are you stealing a lesson? You can't do that. And it's usual Larry David hijinks.
It's a whole thing. Mm-hmm.
Well, just to finish on that, like, God, Larry has just turned into an old man. Like every episode now is just him complaining about like just ridiculous. Like the one episode they're literally talking about like they're at the country club and the woman comes by taking their meals and she's like, yeah, we don't serve breakfast after 11 o'clock. And he's like, well, it's 11:10. What's the big deal? I'm like, God, this is such an old man thing where he's just yelling at society for dumb shit.
You're acting like this. He didn't do this for the entirety of the show, but it was different.
Okay, it's way different with, I will say this honestly, with the way he looks now, with the way that Jeff looks, with the way that Susie looks, they all look like old people. And it was different when they were younger and they were complaining about stuff. Now they just look like old crotchety fucks, to be completely honest.
All right. Okay. So that's number 3. So number 5, scuba diving. Number 4, lay cement. Number 3, golf. Number 2. I've tried to get you into this. Formula One.
Yeah.
Drive to Survive. You don't got to watch every race. The season starts pretty soon. You don't got to watch every race. Just watch the show, and then
On Netflix.
on Netflix,
Yep.
quick episodes, very easy, very digestible.
Okay.
And tell me you don't want to watch a race after that. And I'll be honest, the races, a majority of the time, super boring. But the documentary gets you into it, gets you into the people, and it kind of becomes like a reality TV show. And then
Okay.
they just release that TV show at the end of every season. So I think Formula One is something you can legitimately get into. And a lot of the races, here's how it goes. The races are on Sundays. So they have practice on Friday. They have 2 practice sessions on Friday. Then they have the qualifying on Saturday, so they could determine what the grid's going to look like on the Sunday. Then the actual race is on the Sunday. So you'll have something to do on your Sunday morning instead of football.
Gotcha. And but how early are we talking?
Well, that's up to you, because some of these races are in locations that are well across the world. So some might start at like 6 a.m. I mean, you could just record them and, watch them
That
on
is
your own
true.
time.
That is true. No, I've been
Uh-huh.
interested. I like, I'm up on some of the guys like Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's kind of
That's
good.
one. But then like, some people that are really into like NASCAR or like Formula One's not real racing.
But NASCAR is?
I guess like that's like there's a big NASCAR versus Formula One contingent or rivalry, I should say.
Yeah, I haven't really heard. I don't really know.
But then again, I don't really give a shit.
I've never met anyone who likes NASCAR. Okay.
I went to the NASCAR Speedway in Sonoma when Kyle Busch was racing. My dad was the I guess the MC of that, whatever. But never really got into NASCAR. I'd be willing to do Formula One. That's the easiest one I could do. Like laying cement, that's a tough ask. But I can get into the Netflix show and then watch a race on a Sunday morning. I'd be down.
It's a trade. It's life lessons with laying cement. It's not just laying cement. It teaches you a whole bunch of stuff.
Isn't there other trades I could do?
Maybe. But
Why?
didn't.
Why?
You want to get into plumbing?
Or working on my car, but like for whatever reason, like why was laying cement a thing?
Because I saw a video of it and it looked very satisfying to do.
Do you want to do
that'd be a good skill to have. Huh?
Do you want to do it?
Maybe.
All right, well let's take a lesson one day.
And then number 1, seeing this out the goodness of my heart, slow pitch softball, dude. Get into it. Watch out for your shoulder.
Yeah, like why would I do that after you broke your shoulder last year?
You got to keep the just your opinion man tradition alive. Go play slow pitch softball. Just make sure that you keep your shoulder in place intact and don't break it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know a lot of guys that do that shit. Adam Copeland's obsessed about his slow pitch softball league, or maybe it's fast pitch for all I know, whatever.
Has he been ejected from a game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, I probably be the guy that's like, I'm not taking this shit as seriously. So, out of all the suggestions you had, I'm down with the Formula One. I'm down with the scuba diving. I'm down with the golf. There's other thing, like I should probably read more. Read a couple more books. Huh?
You need me to tell you that you should read? I thought you were trying to get some out of the box stuff here. I'm not trying to just put.
I'd rather read than lay cement.
It's a good idea.
All right, fine.
It's a great idea.
I'll read a book on how to lay cement and then
build up strength, and you get yourself out in the sun. Tan that bald head of yours.
What do you think I'm walking around Lake Merritt for?
To tan that bald head of yours?
Yeah. See, there you go. Listening to podcasts and tanning. And then I was thinking about have you ever played Red Dead Redemption 2?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you brought it up. All right, I'm thinking about playing that and spending a ton of hours doing that. Because I hear that game's
inside and look, man, I gave you activities besides the Formula One thing, but I gave you activities, and now you're just all right. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna play Red Dead Redemption 2. What are you like
while exercising?
You sound like an 18-year-old trying to be more sophisticated with his summers. Yeah, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna play this video game. Yeah, that's my plan.
Well, everyone talks so much about it, and I was like, I'm surprised I never got around to playing this. And everybody says it's like the
Yeah,
best video game of all time.
we are all Arthur Morgan. So yeah, those are my suggestions, man. But laying
Okay,
I'm really proud of that one.
laying cement. I'm
Yeah.
not saying no. It's just an odd suggestion.
All right.
I will see if I get around to laying cement.
You don't want to get in touch with your aquatic side?
I said I'm down with the scuba diving.
Okay, you're cool with that? Okay.
I think it's just harder to do where we live.
We'll set you up.
Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, Jesse's friend.
Yep.
All right, fine. I'm down for that one. Put me down.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, there you go. I will try to accomplish all those things.
Yeah.
The slow pitch softball one,
Yeah, you don't have to.
yeah, I'm gonna say no on that one. But everything else, if we can find me a good cement truck, we'll make it happen.
You're welcome, man. I'll give you a plot of land and you could just spend your hot summer days instead of worrying about, oh man, the 49ers paying too much for Jawan Jennings. How are they going to pay for this guy coming? You're not going to worry about any of that.
That is how I spend most of my Saturdays.
You are going to be just worrying about cement, sidewalks. You're doing good for society.
That is true. Okay. All right, Stephen. I will try to do all those things in this NFL offseason.
Yeah.
So it's scuba diving, laying cement, golf, Formula One, and slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Although we could replace slow pitch softball. I was thinking about this because Ernie too brought it up. Do it at Low Neal's Ranch. Yeah, you could become a farmhand. How about that? Do a little farming? Huh?
I could do farming for a day.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
It's
going to be like
it's along the lines of laying cement. It doesn't sound great, but I'll figure it out.
nice little weekend project. Wake
Yeah.
up at 5 a.m., go
To
feed
Lenore
the
with Flo.
chickens. Go get the eggs and make breakfast. What do farmers do?
They do all the things you just said, but they don't lay cement. All right. Thank you for all those suggestions, Stephen. I will
Hey, man.
consider. I will consider maybe a few of them. Real quick, Warriors. They lose tonight. Played
They
the Washington
lose?
Wizards. Oh, sorry. What am I talking about? They lost to the Nuggets. I'm thinking of the Nuggets game, but they won tonight. They beat the crap out of the Wizards. Wizards are just terrible. Like, oh boy, nothing happened with Draymond and Jordan Poole tonight, huh?
No, nothing like that. My favorite was when Fitz brought up at the beginning of the broadcast that the reason for Jordan Poole's decline in numbers is because he's the number one or number two option. And then in the second half, saying that Kyle Kuzma has been really impressive. He's been putting up these numbers despite being the number one or number two option. It's okay to say that Jordan Poole just isn't the same player as he once was instead of just blaming it on him being the number one option.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to do with that. I think it's just, I mean, yes and no. I think that Jordan Poole got too big for his britches and, was going to be the man in Washington. And that contract's not panning out. It's one of the worst in sports, to be honest. And he's benched. He's coming off the bench now. So I kind of feel for Jordan Poole. Like, from winning a championship to getting punched in the face, I know he got paid, but his career is not panning out the way he wanted it to. Like, he's now the new JaVale McGee, where he's getting made fun of constantly on Checked and a Fool. Like, this guy, he's dealing with a lot of shit right now. So, but also at the end of the day, he could have made amends with things with the Warriors. He could have played better. He could have bought into the system. He could have, not been so demonstrative on the sidelines. We saw in the playoffs where Steph Curry's like, "You got to stop this shit, man." So, for all those reasons, I do feel bad for Jordan Poole, but you can. He's guilty as well. As far as just the team itself, playing better defensively. Played well going into the All-Star break. But Klay Thompson has adjusted to being a bench player, and I think that's actually pretty admirable of him. I think prior to that move, there was something up with Klay. I think Tom said it best on the show. He was honest in saying that Klay's been a bad teammate. He's been way too down on himself, and he's selfish and wanting to do the things that he used to do, and he can't. And Steve, tried to talk to him, and it hasn't helped until he said, "You're coming off the bench." That's never happened before in Klay Thompson's career, and since he was a rookie. But now he's kind of used to it and open to it. I wonder if he is. I wonder if behind closed doors he's like, man, this is bullshit. I'm gonna leave in the off season. Whatever's gonna happen. But for the here and now, I'm glad that Klay Thompson is adjusting to his new role on the team. And Moses Moody played more tonight, and I think the team is just gelling now. Chris Paul came back from the injury. I don't know what the ceiling is. They could just be a play-in team. They could just be a 6 seed. Who knows? But I think the team is playing better.
Well, there's no question they're playing better. I mean, they've won whatever it is, 9 of their last 12. They've been surging, but I think that game against the Nuggets has proved there's a pretty significant gap between, teams like the Warriors, who are kind of right there in the 10th spot or the 9th spot now, tied with the Lakers. But, there's a significant gap there between, Minnesota and Oklahoma City and Denver. Like they're just extremely talented. They got a lot of depth. And I do think, I guess against the Nuggets, the Warriors did fall victim to a Steph Curry fatigue game. I know that he's superhuman, but I also think he was super tired, even coming off, just about to go into the All-Star break, or just coming off the All-Star break. I mean, he didn't really have a weekend to just chill. I mean, he was in Indianapolis traveling, and you're back home, and it's a lot. So, yeah, look, at least they're playing competitive basketball, because even before, Dejan Milojevic is passing, God, I was looking at those games after Chris Paul got hurt. It's just after January 5th, man. They lost 4 of their next 5, and I think they were like, I don't know, 4 games below 500 at that point, maybe 5. Like that was like almost rock bottom, really. So at least they're playing more competitive basketball. Plus, I think you've seen the rise of Brandon Pajemski, just playing with so much confidence, making that starting unit better. They just happen to be better fits in the positions that they're in now. And obviously, Jonathan Kuminga, still Jonathan Kuminga doing his thing. Draymond Green, he's settled down. He's settled down a lot since his suspension. So I don't know, what more could you ask for than it being just competitive basketball? Steph Curry was actually going nuclear before the All-Star break. Good God, man. He was just unstoppable.
No, he was, but he's struggling a little bit lately. But I think that's just going to come with fatigue, and he's playing a lot of minutes. And I think Chris Paul coming back is going to help him. But he's struggling a little bit right now. But then again, Steph, I think he'll play out of this funk. The Nuggets game was disappointing. I thought they were playing really well despite Steph not playing a great game. Klay was awesome in the first half. And then they just didn't finish around the rim. They couldn't stop Jokic. They couldn't stop Jamal Murray. They couldn't stop Aaron Gordon. The reality is the Nuggets have dominated the Warriors as of late. And I think that they're just the better team. They are the cream of the crop in the West. And there's a lot of teams that are better than the Warriors right now in the West. I got a chance to watch a lot more basketball. That will be on my list too, even though that's something I would always do. But I'm watching a lot more basketball now. Watched the Timberwolves and Bucks game last week, and the Timberwolves, despite losing in that game that I watched, they're very impressive. They actually play really good defense. Anthony Edwards is a very interesting player. I wouldn't be surprised if they stay in the mix for the top seed in the West. And the Oklahoma City Thunder play really good offense. I think the Warriors are going to have a struggle competing in the Western Conference, despite them playing well. I know that Draymond came out and said that he thinks that no team can compete with them, and they're going to be still championship contenders. I'm not buying that. I think that they are at best in the lower tier of the Western Conference. I think that their ceiling is a 6 seed like last year, and then we'll see what happens in the playoffs. But it's clear now with Steve getting his contract, and I'm glad that finally got done, and there's no more questions about that. But Steve got paid a 2-year extension. He's going to get paid $35 million total, so it's 17 and a half a year. And wait, does that add up? Yeah, it's 17 a year, right? Okay. There's a timeline. There is a deadline to all this. His contract matches up with Steph Curry. So it's 3 more years, and I think the Warriors will go all in those 3 years. We'll see if Klay Thompson returns this offseason. But I think the Warriors and specifically Joe Lacob's going to do everything that he can to make this team a championship team. And then if they don't win in that time frame, we'll see what happens with everybody. But yeah, I'm glad they took care of that. But I think the clock is ticking on the Warriors and their future.
Yeah, well, you talk about whether Klay Thompson is okay embracing the bench role, which he obviously has, but is he okay with embracing that sixth man money? Because if
Yeah.
they want to keep this core four together, I mean, and obviously, like you said, Kerr's and Curry's contracts are aligned. Draymond is going to be there too. Like, can they create a deal with Klay Thompson where it's not going to be some exorbitant amount where they're having to pay him like, 27-28 million dollars per year? I don't know, maybe even less than that. I don't know what that contract would look like, but is he willing to take a significant pay decrease if it means staying with the Warriors, and whether another team is willing to give him more potentially? Like, Clay's going to have a lot to I mean, he's been battling his own on-court identity really through this entire season. He's been battling all of that. But he's really going to have to weigh his options. Like, I think the Warriors are going to be open to giving him a 2-year deal or something, but then what's the money going to look like? And that's been the sticking point in their negotiations so far. So I think that's going to be something else he's going to have to try and really come to grips with. Like, well, I could be a lifer here. It's what I've always wanted to do. Or I could potentially go somewhere else, make more money, and maybe be a starter. Like, which one would I want?
Yeah, that is going to be interesting this offseason. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure. I don't know. I think Clay wants to get paid. I think he loves being a Warrior and he loves the Bay Area, and I don't know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that six man money, I don't know if he's going to love that. So that's very interesting, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, man, I think there's just a lot of good teams in the West right now. So despite the Warriors playing better and kicking the crap out of one of the worst teams of basketball with the Wizards, I'm not holding my breath for any significant run. I think it's just going to kind of be like last year. I think that they may win a playoff series and then that's it. And there may be changes. I don't know, but I'm glad that they're playing better. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't see them, having any success like they did a couple years ago.
No, but who's really expecting that? Like, in reality, who's actually expecting that?
Well, do you think really the team feels that way, or they know what's up?
Well, I think the team knows deep down that there's something there, but there's no point in even like giving into those feelings.
Then
Like,
if
there's no
Draymond's
point in
so
it.
honest, then why is he saying that right now?
What, just like we are title contenders and all
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I know you have to have confidence in yourself, but at the same time, like that's not something he would usually say. Like it just seems kind of out of left field. Like I don't know if he really believes that right now.
Now they're speaking it into existence, but I think that speaking with Charles Barkley kind of gave him an idea. Like, Barkley saying, "Oh yeah, you're going to be a playing team this year," and all this sort of stuff, and you probably saw the reaction to that, and maybe saw that people really don't believe in the Warriors like they used to.
Yeah. Well, Draymond's comfortable talking about everybody else. Like I get that he's changed his ways and he's not as demonstrative or violent as he was in the basketball court, but like man, calling out Anthony Edwards on the podcast and what else? Called out Grant Williams.
Yeah.
Was it Grant Williams? Yeah, it was Grant Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Like Draymond's still not, he's definitely not shy to talk about other players on a microphone, which I always thought was weird while he still was playing in the league. But whatever, man, do your thing, Draymond.
Yeah. Hey, did you happen to hear that?
The Grant Williams.
No, I just farted as you were talking. It was really loud. I didn't mean it for it to be so loud.
I didn't hear anything, but I'll listen back if there's any carryover in the mic. But
Like, as
man,
soon
that
as
hot
it
sauce
started,
that hot sauce really got to you, huh?
as soon as it started, I just blanked everything else out. I didn't even know what you said the last 3 words.
Man, we were coming back with a bang. All right, that's all I got for tonight, Steve. We can end there if you want to. Well, real quick, actually, I'll say this too. Have you listened? Speaking of basketball, have you listened to Bob Myers at all on these broadcasts?
No, not really.
Okay, so I was flying on JetBlue and I was able to watch most of, or actually all of the Warriors Nuggets game when I was flying back Sunday night. Afterwards was Clippers and Kings, and I was like, you know what? I haven't watched a lot of basketball. I'll watch this one too. Bob Myers is on the call with Beth Mowins, and Bob. I mean, what was Bob's biggest thing when he would do interviews on 95.7 and he just was on with us a couple weeks ago on KMBR. Tom
Uh,
or Bob loves to talk.
yeah, he would
He,
start one story and then start another point.
he's a rambling man.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, Beth Mowins and him are talking about something like before the tip off, and Bob is still talking about it well after the tip. Like I love Bob. I think he's a great interview, but in like as an analyst, he's got to just give me smaller chunks. Like he makes a point, and then like 10 points are already scored, and then Beth's like, well, if you we got to catch up here because Bob kept talking. Like I don't know if he fits for games. He's great, I think, on the analyst work. I think he's just kind of awkward right now because he doesn't want to say anything bad about the Warriors, and they always ask him Warrior questions. But as far as an analyst, he just, he's a chatterbox. He talks a lot, and he can't stop himself.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I could see that being a problem.
Yeah.
But they should have known that. Like anyone that would listen to his phone interviews weekly would have told you that.
Yeah, no, it's
Great,
not a
he's
surprise.
affable, he's lovely, like everyone loves him. But man, when I'm cutting his audio, it's like, oh, he's getting into a really good point here. I mean, what's he going to say at the end? Like, where do I cut it off? And then he just starts like a brand new.
Yeah.
Then he starts like a brand new point, a brand new story.
Yeah. But I like seeing Bob on TV. Real quick, baseball, Steven. Any of these remaining free agents that you want the Giants to sign?
I'm sorry. I think
you farting again?
No, I think it might have came through on the podcast. So anyway, do I want the Giants to sign any of the remaining free agents? Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I want them to sign the Cy Young Award winner and Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery, who can be an all-star and fill up that rotation? I think that'd be the number one guy. I love Matt Chapman, but like, where does he fit with this team? They've just got so much. They don't have much space on this roster. So if I had to pick one, it would probably be Montgomery or Snell.
Yeah.
But like, that's another team where I just hope they're competitive this year. Like the Dodgers are just going to be a juggernaut, man. And it's something that they're going to have to deal with. And I think they're just going to have to hope for the momentum stopping first round bye that the Dodgers would inevitably get in the playoffs. And maybe that would be their ticket to losing in the divisional round. So I don't know. I'd like them to maybe get Chapman, but I'm not really high on that move. I'd rather them get it Montgomery or Snell.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I guess Jordan Hicks was pitching today, and it didn't look good for the reliever turned starter.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, he got through it fine, but God, he can throw hard. But
yeah,
guys are used to that now. Like in 2018, when he was first doing it as a rookie with the Cards, it's like, oh my God, who's this guy throwing 104 miles an hour? But over the past 5 years, it's like everyone's throwing 95 to 100.
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, there's a lot of time. That's just the weird thing about baseball free agency. Like, there's a lot of time before the season starts. We still got, a solid month. But it's ridiculous that, I see the irony. Like, NFL free agency is all we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks here. It will be the talk of sports. But for whatever reason, baseball's free agency is just awful. It is slow. Things started in December, and only really Ohtani signed. And there were some trades here or there, big names here or there. But, like, for names like Blake Snell and Matt Chapman and Montgomery and JD Martinez, and for Cody Bellinger to just get a contract a couple days ago, this process sucks. It's just not good for the sport. Like, I understand Scott Boras dictates everything, but like this is just kind of shitty.
Well, that's the problem right there. It's Scott Boras. It was called the hot stove, man. I mean, that. It's not. It hasn't always sucked this bad, but Scott Boras is trying to squeeze every last dollar out of the possible suitors for his players. And God, I hated the reaction. Like the one thing I actually agreed with Rob Manfred on, which is very few things, but the one thing I agreed with him on was that they do need a deadline. No, they do need a deadline. They do need some sort of deadline there at winter if they're going to want any action, because with Scott Boras just commanding like half of the big names in that sport, you have to wait a long time. And if you want to make baseball's offseason exciting again, that'd probably be the way to do it, even though the players union wouldn't budge on that. There'd be a lot of holes you got, or loops, whatever you got to jump through in order to make that happen. But it was the stove didn't even turn on. You know what I mean?
It got lukewarm.
It did. It wasn't even hot. It wasn't even lukewarm, dude.
Well,
It was
Ohtani.
completely off. It hasn't been used.
Ohtani.
I guess, but yeah. Yeah, but it's not just Ohtani, though. It's like every free agent. You knew that he was going to sign somewhere, and it was likely going to be with the Dodgers. But normally the hot stove is full of random free agents where they're just getting signed, bang, bang, boom. And then by the time spring training rolls around, you could already hand out your free agency grades. Who did the best? Blah, 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 blah. And I'll do all that sort of stuff. Couldn't do it this year. And also, I mean, the big Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery and Matt Chapman and then Cody Bellinger were kind of like the core four, as they called it. That's not even that great of a core four for free agency. Yeah. So, I mean, even the player list wasn't that great this year either.
Yeah, I guess Scott Boras' name is really apt. He's going to bore us with his negotiations.
Yeah. Nice.
All right.
Jesus Christ, Jesse is cracking up right now.
What, from the fart still?
Yeah, she hasn't stopped laughing. It's been like 20 minutes.
And I thought Matt Shatman because you shat yourself.
All right, and on that note,
the hell, Matt Shatman?
Yeah,
Shatman is where you're going with that.
Shat.
Yeah, I got it.
It actually isn't bad.
It was part, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. See, your fiance's gagging on your farts. Jesus, Steven. All right, that's what we're ending things in tonight. And yes, to give everybody an update, we are going to do the JYOMs on Sunday. 11 o'clock, Steven?
Sunday 11. Let's do it.
All right, we're gonna do the jammies. We asked you guys for suggestions. We got a few. We got some categories. Me and Steven will connect, and we will discuss what our categories will be, and we'll go from there. But yeah, we're gonna have the first annual JYOMs this Sunday, and then we'll get into we'll do a little more pop culture catch up and watching a few shows, some movies I got into while I was on vacation. So yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll be on every Sunday, and then we're gonna still do Tuesday, or do you want to make it Wednesday? Like, how do we want to do with the schedule?
Well, when we do the fuckery, that will be a couple of the timeline for that's always weird because we'll probably do a show that night or maybe the next day. But yes, for the normal routine, I think for the off season here, we will do Tuesdays and Sundays.
Okay. And for anyone listening, remember, you can always watch us live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Instagram at some time. StreamYard only lets us do an hour per live stream, so had to cancel that after an hour. But you can catch us all over the place, or just continue to download it and listen the way that you do.
There you go, Steven. Smash that like button. All right. I will let Steven go change his pants or wipe. Thank you for everybody coming back. Good to be back. Good to be talking sports twice a week. And whatever else comes to our mind. Thanks to the Ernies. Ernie! Got to listen to Ernie for the first time the other day. Called into KNBR. Ernie 1, actually. So Ernie, thanks to Ernie 1, Ernie 2, Otis Bird, AJ Cruz in the chat tonight. I think he was earlier on. I probably had to leave. Got Danny Golding TV, the usual crew. So thanks to all the guys that listen to the podcast and join us for this. We'll be back on Sunday for the first annual JYOMs. Until then, Steven, say what you always say.
It's just our man.